Eddard. The straw on the floor stank of urine. There was no window, no bed, not even a slop bucket. He remembered walls of pale red stone festooned with patches of nitre, a grey door of splintered wood, 4 inches thick and studded with iron. He had seen them, briefly, a quick glimpse as they shoved him inside. Once the door had slammed shut, he had seen no more. The dark was absolute. He had as well been blind, or dead, buried with his king. "Ah, Robert," he murmured as his groping hands touched a cold stone wall, his leg throbbing with every motion. He remembered the jest that King had shared in the crypts of Winterfell as the kings of winter looked down with cold stone eyes. "The king eats," Robert had said, "and the hand takes the shit." How he had laughed. Yet he had gotten it wrong. The king dies, Ned Stark thought, and the hand is buried. The dungeon was underneath the Red Keep, deeper than he dared imagine. He remembered the old stories about Maegor the Cruel, who murdered all the masons who laboured on his castle, so they might never reveal its secrets. He damned them all. Littlefinger, Janos Slynt in his gold cloaks, the Queen, the Kingslayer, Pycelle and Varys, and Sir Barristan, even Lord Renly, Robert's own blood, who had run when he was needed most. Yet in the end, he blamed himself. "Fool," he cried to the darkness. "Thrice damned blind fool." Cersei Lannister's face seemed to swim before him in the darkness. Her hair was full of sunlight, but there was mockery in her smile. "When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die," she whispered. Ned had played and lost, and his men had paid the price of his folly with their life's blood. When he thought of his daughters, he would have wept, but the tears would not come. Even now he was a Stark of Winterfell, and his grief and his rage froze hard inside him. When he kept very still, his leg did not hurt so much, so he did his best to lie unmoving. For how long he could not say. There was no sun and no moon. He could not see to mark the walls. Ned closed his eyes and opened them. It made no difference. He slept and woke and slept again. He did not know which was more painful, the waking or the sleeping. When he slept he dreamed, dark, disturbing dreams of blood and broken promises. When he woke there was nothing to do but think, and his thoughts were worse than nightmares. The thought of Cat was as painful as a bed of nettles. He wondered where she was, what she was doing. He wondered whether he would ever see her again. Hours turned to days, or so it seemed. He could feel a dull ache in his shattered leg, an itch beneath the plaster. When he touched his thigh, the flesh was hot to his fingers. The only sound was his breathing. After a time he began to talk aloud, just to hear a voice. He made plans to keep himself sane, built castles of hope in the dark. Robert's brothers were out in the world raising armies at Dragonstone and Storm's End. Aelin and Harwyn would return to King's Landing with the rest of his household guard once they'd dealt with Sir Gregor. Catelyn would raise the north when the word reached her, and the lords of river and mountain and vale would join her. He found himself thinking of Robert more and more. He saw the king as he had been in the flower of his youth, tall and handsome, his great antlered helm on his head, his warhammer in hand, sitting his horse like a horned god. He heard his laughter in the dark, saw his eyes, blue and clear as mountain lakes. "Look at us, Ned," Robert said. "Gods, how'd we come to this? You here and me killed by a pig. We want a throne together." "I failed you, Robert," Ned thought. He could not say the words. "I lied to you, hid the truth. I let them kill you." The king heard him. You stiff-necked fool," he muttered. "Too proud to listen. Can you eat pride, Stark? Will honour shield your children?" Cracks ran down his face, fissures opening in the flesh, and he reached up and ripped the mask away. It was not Robert at all. It was Littlefinger, grinning, mocking him. When he opened his mouth to speak, his lies turned to pale grey moths and took wing. Ned was half asleep when the footsteps came down the hall. At first he thought he dreamt them. It had been so long since he had heard anything but the sound of his own voice. Ned was feverish by then, his leg a dull agony, his lips parched and cracked. When the heavy wooden door creaked open, the sudden light was painful to his eyes. Ogola thrust a jug at him. The clay was cool and beaded with moisture. Ned grasped it with both hands and gulped eagerly. Water ran from his mouth and dripped down through his beard. He drank until he thought he would be sick. "How long?" he asked weakly when he could drink no more. The gaoler was a scarecrow of a man with a rat's face and frayed beard, clad in a mail shirt and a leather half-cape. "No talking," he said as he wrenched the jug from Ned's hands. "Please," Ned said. "My daughters." The door crashed shut. He blinked as the light vanished, lowered his head to his chest and curled up on the straw. It no longer stank of urine shit. It no longer smelled at all. He no longer could tell the difference between waking and sleeping. The memory came creeping in upon him in the darkness, as vivid as a dream. It was the year of fall spring, and he was 18 again, down from the Erie to the tourney at Harrenhal. He could see the deep green of the grass and smell the pollen on the wind, warm days and cool nights, and the sweet taste of wine. He remembered Brandon's laughter and Robert's berserk valour in the melee, the way he laughed as he unhorsed men left and right. He remembered Jaime Lannister, a golden youth in scaled white armour, kneeling on the grass in front of the king's pavilion and making his vows to protect and defend King Aerys. Afterwards Sir Oswald Went helped Jaime to his feet, and the White Bull himself, Lord Commander Sir Gerald Hightower, fastened the snowy cloak of the Kingsguard about his shoulders. All 6 swords were there to welcome their newest brother. Yet when the jousting began, the day belonged to Rhaegar Targaryen. The crown prince wore the armour he would die in, gleaming black plate with the 3-headed dragon of his house wrought in rubies on the breast. A plume of scarlet silk streamed behind him when he rode, and it seemed no lance could touch him. Brandon fell to him, and bronze Jon Royce, and even the splendid Sir Arthur Dane, the Sword of the Morning. Robert had been jesting with John and old Lord Hunter as the prince circled the field after unhorsing Sir Barristan in the final tilt to claim the champion's crown. Ned remembered the moment when all the smiles died, when Prince Rhaegar Targaryen urged his horse past his own wife, the Dornish princess Elia Martell, to lay the Queen of Beauty's laurel in Lyanna's lap. He could see it still, a crown of winter roses, blue as frost. Ned Stark reached out his hand to grasp the flowery crown, but beneath the pale blue petals the thorns lay hidden. He felt them clawing at his skin, sharp and cruel, saw the trickle of blood run down his fingers, and woke, trembling in the dark. "Promise me, Ned," his sister had whispered from her bed of blood. She had loved the scent of winter roses. "God save me," Ned wept. "I'm going mad." The gods did not deign to answer. Each time the turnkey brought him water, he told himself another day had passed. At first he would beg the man for some word of his daughters and the world beyond his cell. Grunts and kicks were his only replies. Later, when the stomach cramps began, he begged for food instead. It made no matter. He was not fed. Perhaps the Lannisters meant for him to starve to death. No, he told himself. If Cersei had wanted him dead, she would have cut him down in the throne room with his men. She wanted him alive. Weak, desperate, yet alive. Catelyn held her brother. She did not dare kill him, or the imp's life would be forfeit as well. From outside his cell came the rattle of iron chains. As the door creaked open, Ned put a hand to the damp wall and pushed himself toward the light. The glare of a torch made him squint. "Food," he croaked. "Wine," a voice answered. It was not the rat-faced man. This gaoler was stouter, shorter, though he wore the same leather half-cape and spiked steel cap. "Drink, Lord Eddard." He thrust a wineskin into Ned's hand. The voice was strangely familiar, yet it took Ned Stark a moment to place it. "Varys?" he said groggily when it came. He touched the man's face. "I'm not dreaming this. You're here." The eunuch's plump cheeks were covered with a dark stubble of beard. Ned felt the coarse hair with his fingers. Varys had transformed himself into a grisly turnkey, reeking of sweat and sour wine. "How did you... What sort of magician are you?" "A thirsty one," Varys said. "Drink, my lord." Ned's hands fumbled at the skin. "Is this the same poison they gave Robert?" "You wrong me," Varys said sadly. "Truly, no one loves a eunuch. Give me the skin." He drank, a trickle of red leaking from the corner of his plump mouth. "Not the equal of the vintage you offered me the night of the tourney, but no more poisonous than most," he concluded, wiping his lips. "Here." Ned tried a swallow. "Dregs." He felt as though he were about to bring the wine back up. "All men must swallow the sour with the sweet, high lords and eunuchs alike. Your hour has come, my lord." "My daughters." "The younger girl escaped Sir Merrin and fled," Varys told him. "I've not been able to find her, nor have the Lannisters. A kindness there. Our new king loves her not. Your older girl is still betrothed to Joffrey. Cersei keeps her close. She came to court a few days ago to plead that you be spared. A pity you couldn't have been there. You would have been touched." He leaned forward intently. "I trust you realize you are a dead man, Lord Eddard." "The Queen will not kill me," Ned said. His head swam. The wine was strong, and it had been too long since he'd eaten. Cat holds her brother." "The wrong brother," Varys sighed. "And lost to her in any case. She let the imp slip through her fingers. I expect he's dead by now, somewhere in the mountains of the moon." "If that is true, slit my throat and have done with it." He was dizzy from the wine, tired and heartsick. "Your blood is the last thing I desire." Ned frowned. "When they slaughtered my guard, you stood beside the Queen and watched and said not a word." "And would again. I seem to recall that I was unarmed, unarmoured, and surrounded by Lannister swords." The eunuch looked at him curiously, tilting his head. "When I was a young boy, before I was cut, I travelled with a troop of mummers through the free cities. They taught me that each man has a role to play, in life as well as in mummery. So it is at court. The king's justice must be fearsome, the master of coin must be frugal, the lord commander of the king's guard must be valiant, and the master of whisperers must be sly and obsequious and without scruple. A courageous informer would be as useful as a cowardly knight." He took the wineskin back and drank. Ned studied the eunuch's face, searching for the truth beneath the mummer's scars and the false stubble. He tried some more wine. This time it went down easier. "Can you free me from this pit?" "I could. But will I? No. Questions would be asked, and the answers would lead back to me." Ned had expected no more. "You are blunt." "A eunuch has no honour, and a spider does not enjoy the luxury of scruples, my lord." "Would you at least consent to carry a message out for me?" "That would depend on the message. I will gladly provide you with paper and ink, if you like, and when you have written what you will, I will take the letter and read it, and deliver it or not, as best it serves my own ends." "Your own ends? What ends are those, Lord Varys?" "Peace," Varys replied without hesitation. "If there was one soul in King's Landing who was truly desperate to keep Robert Baratheon alive, it was me." He sighed. "For 15 years I protected him from his enemies, but I could not protect him from his friends. What strange fit of madness led you to tell the Queen you'd learned the truth of Joffrey's birth?" "The madness of mercy," Ned admitted. "Ah," said Varys. "To be sure. You are an honest and honourable man, Lord Eddard. Ofttimes I forget that. I have met so few of them in my life." He glanced around the cell. "When I see what honesty and honour have won you, I understand why." Ned Stark laid his head back against the damp stone wall and closed his eyes. His leg was throbbing. "The king's wine. Did you question Lancel?" "Oh, indeed. Cersei gave him the wineskins and told him it was Robert's favourite vintage." The eunuch shrugged. "A hunter lives a perilous life. If the boar had not done for Robert, it would have been a fall from a horse, the bite of a wood adder, an arrow gone astray. The forest is the arbiter of the gods. It was not the wine that killed the king. It was your mercy." Ned had feared as much. "Gods forgive me." "If there are gods," Varys said, "I expect they will. The Queen would not have waited long in any case. Robert was becoming unruly, and she needed to be rid of him to free her hands to deal with his brothers. They are quite a pair, Stannis and Renly, The iron gauntlet and the silk glove. He wiped his mouth with the back of his hand. You have been foolish, my lord. You ought to have heeded Littlefinger when he urged you to support Joffrey's succession.
How could you know of that?
Varys smiled. I know. That's all that need concern you. I also know that on the morrow the Queen will pay you a visit. Slowly Ned raised his eyes.
Why?
Cersei is frightened of you, my lord, but she has other enemies she fears even more. Her beloved Jaime is fighting the Riverlands even now. Lysa Arryn sits in the Eyrie, ringed in stone and steel, and there is no love lost between her and the Queen. In Dorne the Martells still brood on the murder of Princess Elia and her babes, and now your son marches down the neck with a northern host at his back.
Robb is only a boy,
Ned said aghast. A boy with an army, Varys said. Yet only a boy, as you say. The king's brothers are the ones giving Cersei sleepless nights, Lord Stannis in particular. His claim is the true one. He is known for his prowess as a battle commander, and he is utterly without mercy. There is no creature on earth half so terrifying as a truly just man. No one knows what Stannis has been doing on Dragonstone, but I will wager that he's gathered more swords than seashells. So here is Cersei's nightmare. While her father and brother spend their power battling Starks and Tullys, Lord Stannis will land, proclaim himself king, and lop off her son's curly blonde head, and her own in the bargain, though I truly believe she cares more about the boy.
Stannis Baratheon is Robert's true heir, Ned said. The throne is his by rights. I would welcome his assent.
Varys tisked. Cersei will not want to hear that, I promise you. Stannis may win the throne, but only your rotting head will remain to cheer unless you guard that tongue of yours. Sansa begged so sweetly, it would be a shame if you threw it all away. You are being given your life back if you'll take it. Cersei's no fool. She knows a tame wolf is better than a dead one.
You want me to serve the woman who murdered my king, butchered my men, and crippled my son?
Ned's voice was thick with disbelief. I want you to serve the realm, Varys said. Tell the Queen that you will confess your vile treason, command your son to lay down his sword, and proclaim Joffrey as the true heir. Offer to denounce Stannis and Renly as faithless usurpers. Our green-eyed lioness knows you are a man of honour. If you will give her the peace she needs and the time to deal with Stannis, and pledge to carry her secret to your grave, I believe she will allow you to take the black and live out the rest of your days on the wall, with your brother and that base-born son of yours. The thought of Jon filled Ned with a sense of shame, and a sorrow too deep for words. If only he could see the boy again, sit and talk with him. Pain shot through his broken leg beneath the filthy grey plaster of his cast. He winced, his fingers opening and closing helplessly.
Is this your own scheme? He gasped out at Varys. Or are you in league with Littlefinger?
That seemed to amuse the eunuch. I would sooner wed the black goat of Qohar. Littlefinger is the second most devious man in the Seven Kingdoms. Oh, I feed him choice whispers sufficient so that he thinks I am his, just as I allow Cersei to believe I am hers.
And just as you let me to believe that you are mine. Tell me, Lord Varys, who do you truly serve?
Varys smiled thinly. Why, the realm, my good lord. However could you doubt that? I swear it by my lost manhood. I serve the realm, and the realm needs peace. He finished the last swallow of wine and tossed the empty skin aside. So what is your answer, Lord Eddard? Give me your word that you'll tell the Queen what she wants to hear when she comes calling.
If I did, my word would be as hollow as an empty suit of armour. My life is not so precious to me as that.
Pity, the eunuch said. And your daughter's life, my lord? How precious is that? A chill pierced Ned's heart.
My daughter.
Surely you did not think I'd forgotten about your sweet innocent, my lord. The Queen most certainly has not.
No, Ned pleaded, his voice cracking. Varys, gods have mercy, do as you like with me, but leave my daughter out of your schemes. Sansa's no more than a child.
Rhaenys had a child too, Prince Rhaegar's daughter, a precious little thing, younger than your girls. She had a small black kitten she called Balerion. Did you know that? I always wondered what happened to him. Rhaenys liked to pretend that he was the true Balerion, the Black Dread of old, but I imagine the Lannisters taught her the difference between a kitten and a dragon quick enough, the day they broke down her door. Varys gave a long, weary sigh, the sigh of a man who carried all the sadness of the world in a sack upon his shoulders. The High Septon once told me that as we sin, so do we suffer. If that's true, Lord Eddard, tell me, why is it always the innocents who suffer most when you high lords play your Game of Thrones? Ponder, if you would, while you wait upon the Queen, and spare a thought for this as well. The next visitor who calls on you could bring you bread and cheese and the milk of the poppy for your pain, or he could bring you your Sansa's head. The choice, my dear Hand, is entirely yours.
So, the question is, what would you do? Would you take the black and sacrifice your honor, or would you stand by your word and die for what you believe?
I feel like if this was a situation in which if I cared enough, I don't know. This isn't about, like, all big cats go extinct or else. So in my mind, I'm like, take the black.
Yeah.
Be okay.
But it's cold up there. He is a Stark, though, so he'd fit right in.
Yeah, it wouldn't bother him. And you're also looking at someone who doesn't hate the cold either.
Yeah, that's true.
So.
Okay. Fair enough.
I think if he didn't have kids, it would be pretty simple.
Kill me.
Yep.
But yeah.
Would you take the black?
Man, I don't know. You know, probably if I didn't have a broken leg, but if I'm sitting there in a cell with a broken leg, in pain all the time, I'd probably be like, yes, just bring me the milk of the poppy.
Also,
you can kill me afterwards. I don't even care if you take me to the black. Just give me some meds.
Plus, he also hasn't eaten in days, and Varys just got him really shit-faced.
Yeah, that is true. Because you know Eddard is super drunk right now.
Yes.
He hasn't had anything in his system. Barely drank any water.
He's drunk.
Mm-hmm. Varys is a very complex character.
Varys is interesting because now we had evidence before, but now we know for a fact he's a solid master of disguise.
Yes. Sneaking around. Does he even have little birdies, or is it just him?
Everywhere, all the time. Alright, I'll ask this question in a minute. Eddard's memories are very interesting. This was kind of like a very trippy chapter in a way. Bleeding in and out of reality and dreams, and Eddard obviously feeling some wicked guilt about Lyanna.
Yeah.
And now we know that at the tourney at Harrenhal, Rhaegar snubbed his wife and was like, Lyanna, have these roses. They're your favorite.
Blue roses. Winter roses.
Winter roses.
Yes. Because she was the most beautiful in all the land.
So did he
So
really...
it was decreed.
Did he abduct her? Did he really abduct her?
I don't know.
Kind of seems like, well, I mean, he's trying to woo her.
He was trying, but did he succeed?
Well, we don't know.
Maybe she shunned him, so he was like, slay, or no one shuns a dragon.
Maybe. No one rejects the dragon.
Yes.
It could be. I don't know. It's just an interesting tidbit.
Mm-hmm.
They were her favorite flower. He gave her her favorite flower in front of his wife.
Also,
Kind
very
of a rude thing to do, but
very melancholy ending with the talk of Rhaegar's daughter.
yeah, that sucked. But I think it also was Varys' way of reminding Eddard, like, this is what's at stake. Your honor or the lives of your loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Pretty much. You didn't care when you killed Rhaegar's daughter. I mean, he didn't. I'm pretty sure if he found her, he wouldn't have.
Right. If
But-
it had not been...
Trying to get across to him that, well, just like he says, when you high lords wage or play the Game of Thrones, it's the innocents who suffer.
Right, and Varys does this whole thing where he's like, I serve the realm. I don't serve anyone. I serve the realm.
Yes.
Does he?
It does-
Should we believe him?
Right? Is he just
Everyone has an ulterior
playing the
motive.
good guy?
Everyone has an ulterior motive.
What's his?
Or is he really that altruistic and he really does care about the people of Westeros?
So far, I would lean towards yes, because he hasn't given us any other
Reason not to.
Not to. Other than the fact that he's very two-faced and he serves his own purposes, so
Yeah.
it could be just another thing he's saying to serve his own purpose.
Right, well, and maybe we just don't know what his purpose is yet.
Maybe it is to serve the realm, or maybe it's to, I don't know, get Daenerys back, or maybe he wants the White Walkers to come down and take over everything.
Yeah, maybe he knows about the others.
Like a new flood. Just send the White Walkers down, kill everyone, and start anew.
Start fresh. No Lannisters. No Tarleys. No Baratheons. No Starks.
Wash Westeros clean.
Break the
From
wheel.
the plague that is the lords and ladies.
The Highborn.
Yes, those people.
Also, I'm gonna ask the question now.
Okay. What question?
Where's he pooping?
In the corner.
Do we know that, though? He doesn't have a poop bucket. I
No,
feel like
he
he
doesn't.
would know if he would have a poop bucket.
Does not have a poop bucket. He already said that he doesn't have a slop bucket or a slop.
Yeah.
bath. So, yeah, he's just pooping in the corner.
But his leg hurts so bad. How is he moving to the corner to poop?
Just kind of drags himself over, lays down, lets it plop out, and drags himself back.
Although he hasn't had any food in like days. So it's probably not.
Maybe that's why. Maybe the jailer just doesn't want to clean up after him. So he's
Maybe.
like,
I'm
if
just
I
not
don't
gonna-
feed the prisoners, they can't poop, and then I don't have to clean up anything.
There is merit to that thought process, I suppose.
I mean, if I was Eddard, I'd poop right in front of the door. So anytime the jailer comes in, step right in it.
It's a little passive aggressive
A little bit.
for a man with a broken leg.
What else are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's true.
You can't do anything else. You might as well poop on him.
That's true. You have a point. I don't know. That's like kind of all this chapter was. Is he reflects on all of his past mistakes and he thinks about Robert a little bit and he thinks about how I think he kind of
How
realizes
his
like
honor screwed him over with Cersei,
I also
and he just went about it as he wanted to, and didn't tell Cersei. Things could have been different.
I also think there's a little bit of blame on Robert.
Also, a little wink. Cersei telling Lancel, "Oh, it's his favorite wine."
Wink, wink,
Wink, wink.
wink, wink.
Make sure he gets a lot of it. It's good for him.
And Varys just pretty much straight up being like, dude, this was gonna happen with or without you. Cersei was sick of it.
And
She
she
had
said
enough.
that Varys had stopped her many times before.
Yeah. That it was like, no, not yet,
Mhm.
not yet. Wait, just wait.
And
Uh-oh.
Cersei just underestimating Robb Stark. Just get him out of here. Even she's like, get him out of here so we can just...
Eddard, right?
No, Robb.
What are you talking about?
She just wants to get Robb out of there so she can focus on Stannis and
Oh.
Renly.
Yeah. Because they're the real threat.
Yes.
Stannis sounds so formidable.
We know nothing about him. All we know is that he ran away as soon as
He ran away.
Aaron died.
We know he ran away, but Cersei is scared of him more than she is scared of anyone else. Who is Stannis the Manus? He's been mentioned how many flipping times throughout this whole book?
I don't know. He's the boogeyman, I guess.
I know what
Cersei's
Varys
boogeyman.
described him as the Iron Gauntlet to Renly's Silk Glove.
Yeah.
So we already kind of know how Renly is.
Yep.
So
I mean, that's another thing. At this point, if Eddard really wants his plan to work, the best thing he could do is kind of hold off as long as he can and let Stannis come attack.
right, how long can he stay down there?
It's like, I'm probably gonna die anyways. I'm just gonna be a thorn in your side as long as I can, and maybe distract you long enough for Stannis to come around your flank.
But Varys makes a very good point. Like, dude, your head might be on a spike before Stannis even gets here.
Mm-hmm.
I also think one of the best lines in the whole book is when Varys is talking about Stannis and he says, I'm not going to get it 100% right, but he says, there is nothing in this world truly so terrifying. There is nothing in this world so terrifying as a truly just man.
Yeah.
Like, ooh. Very interesting choice of words there, sir. It's a very
Maybe why she
thought.
was so afraid of Eddard. And he also points out that it's not really that she's fearing for her life, it's Joffrey's life. Again, talking about how she's all about her children.
Yeah, she's acting the fierce lioness protecting her cubs.
Mm-hmm.
And Eddard is threatening them in a big way.
But at this point, is he the threat? I mean, you've already disproven him. Either he says that, nah, guys, it was a joke.
I made it up. I tried to take the throne. I'm sorry.
Yeah. He's the true king.
I made a terrible mistake, Cersei.
Or he doesn't, and he dies.
Yep.
So either way, no one's gonna, and everyone's gonna believe that he's just some traitor, and Joffrey is the true king. So no matter what he does, it's not gonna work out for him that way.
So wouldn't it be
So he's not really a threat. It's Stannis who's the threat.
So wouldn't it be more prudent then to save the lives of your family? Because maybe the truly honorable thing to do is suck it up, take the black, and save your family.
True.
Which is, I think, how Martin uses literature to play on those ideas of what chivalric honor really is. What does honor really mean, and duty, and all that stuff.
It's never clean cut and dry. It's always gray.
It's always gray.
No black and white here.
So I guess Eddard has some stuff to think about, and
hopefully you can think about it in between hallucinations.
Varys very much pointed it all out. Varys pointed it out all in black and white. He's like, Stannis and Renly are the threat, not you. They're the ones that have the claim to the throne.
Mm-hmm.
Cersei has your daughter right in her clutches, right where she wants her. Arya is missing, by the way. We don't know where she is. She's just gone. She could be dead in a ditch somewhere.
Did he say that Arya, they didn't know where Arya was?
Yeah, he said he looked for her and they couldn't find her.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
And then, oh, and by the way, your son is marching to war against Papa Lannister. Just FYI.
Your children's all grown up.
The only one that's currently safe right now is Jon Snow. So, what would you like to do, sir?
Bran.
Well,
And Rickon.
Bran and Rickon. Okay. Unless Papa Lannister decides to march
Unless
Winterfell.
Unless Robb loses, in which case then, yeah, they're in some trouble.
Robb's decisions, therefore, by extension, Robb's decisions put Rickon and Eddard or Rickon and Bran in danger.
Yes.
Meanwhile, what's Catelyn doing? Eddard is like, no, she's got the imp, blah, blah, blah. And Varys is like, actually, no. Any leverage you thought you had, you didn't have. And even when you had leverage, you had the wrong brother. Sorry.
So it's either just take the well, I mean, I guess no matter what he does, Stannis is gonna attack, so...
That's true. I don't think any decision Eddard makes is going to make a difference on what Stannis or Renly do. Which is why...
So, I mean, I guess you could...
Eddard should just take black.
I guess you could take the black. And maybe write Stannis. Be like, yo, you know it was BS that I'm here. Reinstate me as Lord of Winterfell.
Yeah.
I'm sure Stannis would be okay with that. He's an honorable man, he knows.
But he's a truly just man. Would he reinstate him, or would he say, well, you confessed to treason, you didn't stand by your word, and where were you when I needed you? You can stay there.
Well, I would have left, but, I lose my head if I do.
Bearing in mind, we don't know Stannis yet, so we don't know what he would do. Would he?
That's true.
Would he do that kind of favor?
Well, we're saying if Stannis won. If Renly wins, I'm sure Renly would be like, you're good, Ed, come on.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure Renly would totally help him out. Yeah, definitely. I guess it depends on what happens.
If the others haven't reached the wall by then.
That's true.
We get to see Catelyn and see how the army of Robb is faring.
Yeah, is he doing terribly? Should Eddard be super worried?
Is Mommy still running the whole thing, or is Robb kind of
taking charge?
Yeah, being a man about it.
I'm the Lord of Winterfell, not you, Mum.
I'll do what I want. But I want to just check.
Is that all right? Can I do that? Yes, that's fine.
Yes, that sounds great. Yes, that's fine.
Not in front of the lords, Mum. Not in front of the bannermen.